So we will go ahead and kick things off. So I will call to order the meeting of the CIP committee for, what is today anyway?
21st.
The 21st, thank you, July 21st. Going down the agenda, we're going to go right into new business. So as always, we're going to start off with the overview and presentations. Again, just to remind anyone who might be tuning in from home, this is just an advisory committee. We're trying to come out with a ordered list of projects generalized across the different town organizations. Again, advisory for those boards to take into consideration as they plan their projects and their warrant articles and capital projects. So with that said, unless anyone has anything else they want to add, we're going to kick right into the Recreation Department.
Thank you for having me. Kevin, nice to meet you in person. I know we've
Yes.
talked on the phone. Kate, nice to see you again.
Wonderful
Deb,
to meet you in person.
again. Yeah. One of these days I figured we'd meet, you know. Thank you for having me here.
He's coming.
Oh,
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Yep, way down.
Oh, it went the other way.
Hey,
You gotta know the secret knock to get in over there, and you know.
I was too slow, John.
timing's impeccable. We're just about to start the first presentation, so you're spot on.
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. Nice to meet you as well. I'm Doug Cole, Recreation Director. So this is my first time in front of all of you presenting some of these projects, so I appreciate the time as well. Just brief overview, as you can see through the packet, the proposed projects that we do have in here that I'll be going over is the renovation. Some of these projects, sorry, I should say, there might see some redundancy in as terms of we looking at the actual space allocation being spoken about, but just showing proposal of projects that could be done there with also cost assessments, because I know they came up this year, particularly with the skate park, about as we remove that material in terms of rebuilding it on the existing structure, what it would look like with some of those existing costs. So I wanted to include that in here, as well as potential projects of what could be done on that space, as you see a little bit further down. So, but included in there as well, aside from using the existing footprint of that 17,000 square foot area of the existing skate park, we also are looking at proposal of a smaller skate park, 8,000 square foot, different location with opportunity for phasing and future expansion. So in terms of where that would be located, that's obviously a conversation to be had, but also looking at the costs associated with that in order to get that done, particularly being able to still work with groups that might not be able to, with the funding sources as we go over that to see how would that be funded, and if we're looking to, volunteerism, donations, sponsorships, a smaller project that can be phased out is much more attainable than trying to do the larger project as we do get into that. Then as we work our way down, there's obviously some growing needs, dire need, facility space. The Nelson Road tennis courts, as we know, are probably 5, 10, maybe 15 years beyond their useful life. That's something that's not only impacting residents, but school programming, recreational programming, and things of that sort as well. And to include some pictures as we get into that. Again, I mentioned the pickleball courts, and then looking over at LAFA, just talking about kind of a phased out 5-year dugout reconstruction program as we try to, again, bring kind of new life into that facility space, modernize it a bit. Again, as you'll see, a lot of our overlying theme is about safety, accessibility, and things along those lines. So, thank you. So as I kind of said, the overlying theme for most of these projects are listed here. We're going to be talking about safety, efficiency for some of our existing services, preserving capital investments that have been made by the town and taxpayers in the past. This is something that, as we're looking ahead here, there's a lot that's been overlooked in terms of recreational spaces. I know we're seeing it with other town projects that are being submitted as well, and now it's a matter of getting those back up, not only to code safety levels, but also making sure that they're viable options here in the future for participants, leagues, organizations, outside groups, anybody that might be using these facility spaces, making sure that they are available to be done, and also preserving them, and then coming up and generating a way to continue to maintain those, which is something that we're looking to do as we enter this budget season and as we enter kind of the future of our department here as well. So as I mentioned, expanding recreation opportunities, we've been doing that the last few years. Our numbers continue to grow each year. I think last year in our budget cycle, we were around 335% up in terms of participation just with our programming. That does not include what's going on with the leagues. I know their numbers varying, they're increasing some of their opportunities as well. So looking at expanding their services and keeping things in town, doing it in-house, and making sure that they have the amenities in order to do that. One thing that we're always vigilant of now is the accessibility, ADA compliance. Some of our buildings and facilities are not up to code when it comes to that. As we are adapting, we're making sure we include to increase that. Case in point, the basketball courts that were done recently, we made sure that we're adding additional parking spaces. We still need to cut out an accessible route that just a curb space that needs to be removed so that there's complete accessibility there. But we're looking to do that for our other facility spaces too, whether that's expansion or adding of parking, additional entrances, things along those lines. I mentioned about asset preservation, but also as we go down looking at program attraction, as we look at some of these spaces, there's a lot of opportunities here for programs that we're already running that we might be doing off-site, paying fees for other towns and municipalities in order to run our programs because we don't have the space to do it. So that's something where we can start doing it in-house, again, generating revenue that we're going to be able to put back into these facility spaces so that I'm not here, again, 5-10 years asking for, to be considered for some of these project spaces. So as we always go down, quality of life, you want the town of Londonderry to be attractive to incoming families, to existing families, and this is just one way to start doing that as we look to expand and improve on some of these spaces here in town. And then overall, just looking, as I keep mentioning, operating costs, bringing those down, reducing them through future operating costs. The fee schedule that went in, that was approved last night, is going to be beneficial to that as we look forward and start putting together these policies that are not currently in place, working with the leagues, getting agreements in place for memorandums of agreement and understanding, working with groups that typically use these spaces, and how do we do that to make sure it's a benefit to all that are enjoying the spaces. So that's the broad overview on each of these projects. As I mentioned, first project is the actual skate park renovation of that area. This is just a quick AI rendering. Yeah, I didn't go and get this professionally done, but just an idea of what we're looking to do. So right now it's existing. It's an asphalt. It was a wooden structure which has a 10 to 15 year useful life. So obviously, being 26 years old, we were well beyond that, which is why we ran into some of the problems that we did, not having the funds in order to keep that up to code as needed. So this is looking at a project in the similar square footprint that also the best option nowadays is concrete. So there's different options there where you actually do cast and mold placement as well as shotcrete, where they can kind of get those curves. They use rebar and everything along those lines to kind of give it different features. And we work with local groups and interested parties that would be interested as to what they want this facility space to look like. As you can see, not only is it improved safety and accessibility, we talk about useful life too. So the last skate park was up to 15 years. This you're seeing with well-maintained area, 30 to 40 years worth of usage that can be done there, and it's great for all ages. I did just do a quick breakdown project cost. So per square footage for 17,000 square feet is $850,000. So I just wanted to include that in there because I know that came up in question, the idea of, we'll just replace it. What's the cost? It's a hefty load to get that done. But that's something, it is an interested party here in town. It's a need that needs to be met. There's a demographic here that's interested in it, which is why I wanted to include this project in there. In terms of funding for that, there's different options. Primary funding, because of the existing property, we can actually look at LWCF grants. That's land water conservation grants, and then for secondary funding, looking at potential warrant articles, sponsorships, donations, things along those lines. Again, the idea with this and the next project, as you will see, is maintaining these spaces. How do we do that? We start generating interest down there with programming, with clinics, with instructors, and as we generate those revenue sources and bring in, those are how we start maintaining them year to year. So it's an initial upfront cost, and afterwards, the idea would be coming up with generating revenue streams in order to make sure that we can maintain those spaces. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, the the idea of a smaller, phased-out skate park. Make sure to include some apple trees around there too. Thought that added to the aesthetic. But so so it's a 8,000 square foot skate park is what's being proposed, with the idea of phasing it out. So if we wanted to get back up to that larger piece of property, we again using these ideas of the generating revenue sources of how we could start doing that. If we have the initial structure in place, we can start again phasing that out and make it a new recreation destination from where it is currently to maybe to a newer location. And again, like I said, it supports the future growth of that option here in town. And the breakdown is similar right across the board. It's about $45 to about $55 per square foot. You know, if you look locally or nationally. So that's what the cost comes down to being, and that would be funded the same way as the last one through grants. Looking secondary options being warrant articles, sponsorships, donations. The tennis courts, as I mentioned, are well beyond their useful life. I included some photos here as well. You know, these are the only 4 courts here in town. It's used by not only our residents, our participants in our programs, the school and their teams, and you know, it's one of those things. It's good to have home field advantage. This isn't the one you want to have to know which crack to hit to make sure the ball spins a certain way. So obviously, this is now leading into safety issues. So the idea is the full restoration of those 4 tennis courts. So resurfacing them entirely, improving the fencing, the drainage has been an issue there, and again, making sure we're up to code with ADA accessibility and having those upgrades there and available. So as we've been trying to do that, so that's with older fencing, with older access routes, it's not quite up to code as it should be. And again, supporting not only our department and the town, as well as the school needs. So that project cost is $330,000. You're looking at that as 2 different project costs, and that includes the $165,000 includes 2 total court spaces. So currently we have the 4 courts in different areas. So looking at that, 2 of those courts cannot be done through LWCF because it has been done in the past. So we can't. It's more difficult to dip back into that pool, so we'd have to look at different funding sources for that. But we do have 2 of the courts that were not built. They were built through donations in the past, so there is grant opportunities there, as well as grant opportunities through the United States Tennis Association, who we are now affiliated with some of our programming options. So there are options there as well that we can start looking into. Most of those matches, whether I mentioned LWCF or the USTA, is a 50-50 match typically. So town would provide 50. Again, there's always the option of looking at donations and sponsorships, but also through budgeting and warrant articles is how we'd be looking to fund some of these projects. Thank you. All right, pickleball courts. Again, looking at the use of the space that's currently down there. This is, as I'm looking at this project, I know I need to still get the town manager a proposal from our department of what to do with the space, but we're looking at these different options as we talk to these different groups that have interested investment into what could go on down there. So as we look at that court space, I know it's something that's been proposed in the past. In the past, there wasn't a current location. There wasn't an actual number of how many courts. I think it was range 6 to 11. Now we're looking at, in that particular space, you can fit 8 dedicated pickleball courts. Again, down in that area, some of the biggest, aside from already having the footprint, it's one of those options in a project that can be phased out. The biggest need down there right now is parking and accessibility. If you've been down in that way, it's a dirt path that goes around and a lot of overgrowth. So it would be making sure that that's maintained so it's actually usable space. But in terms of getting that off the ground and running, you're looking at a smaller project cost from what it's been in the past. You're looking at replacement of some fencing, putting in the fencing units, painting the lines, and even if it doesn't quite look as the picture depicts right now, you can again phase that out and grow that again through generated revenue sources. Just for personal notes from our department, since January 2024, we've had over 400 participants in pickleball, and that's through our offerings. We only do that. We can only offer 50 up to 50 spots per session that's offered. That's 3 times a year, and we fill it every single time. But the thing is that revenue, some of that part of that revenue is going back to paying St. Thomas Aquinas, where we're using their indoor space. So if that money stays in house, that's money that could be allocated to again phasing out this project, going to the project itself. I think in our recreation revolving fund, we have close to $7,000-8,000 that's come in revenue source for on the town's end for investment into this project should it start going forward. So just want to make note of that. Looking at those again, grant opportunity down there because it hasn't been dipped into in the past. Again, we've been looking at potential warrant article donations and sponsorships to try to match that level, $200,000. And last but not least, as we're looking at some aging assets over here at LAFA, it's just reconstruction of those baseball and softball dugouts. So these are more modern examples instead of the cinder block and the asphalt roof, which while they provide a lot of protection, they give that old school feel. You also, the higher maintenance costs that come along that are associated with repairing those is a lot higher than if you're just repairing a section of chain link fence or anything along those lines. So I'd be looking to do 1 to 2 fields annually over a 5-year total project implementation plan. Again, it improves safety and storage. It's open air. It's metal roofs. It's one of those things you kind of put it there and there's not much you have to do aside from small repairs from chain link things along those lines. So again, that total project is about $100,000. You're looking at about $20,000 a year. So looking at that, we'd be looking potentially budgeting for that, as well as looking at capital reserve increase requests and working with the leagues for donations and sponsorship opportunities too. And then I kind of mentioned all this. So these are the different funding sources that are incorporated with each of the projects. And other than that, I'm open to any questions you may have.
Nope.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay.
So let's go left to right.
I don't care. So I'd like to go back to the tennis courts, if you don't mind. Because that's like a real priority to me.
Yep.
Because the schools need it, the residents need it, it gets really used. To be honest, I don't even know if 4 tennis courts are adequate. I really think you need like 6.
You probably need more. I mean, something we're looking at is potential needs assessment here in town with our department anyways, and I think if you'd probably even more than that. It's where for the size of the population, 4 courts is not enough courts. So and even as you're looking at phasing some of this out, 8 courts initially for even a pickleball. Pickleball is it's a nice start. It's not quite to what you need because it'll fill up.
What? I want to stay on tennis courts.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
I can't, my mind, I'm sorry. So how many tennis courts do you feel in your mind would be adequate? And I know you don't know this, because I'm looking at where they are, and I'm not sure where you can really push them, because you'll lose so much parking, and then I don't know where you're gonna put the parking.
Yeah, there's not much room for expansion up there, and yes, parking's already an issue up at LAFA Complex, so that's something, that's why, in terms of expansion there, probably not so much. I don't know, maybe the school will have an idea of property space they have when they come up. But we'd have to look at, again, I think not only in the needs assessment, you'd also have to look at, space viability here in town. As we're talking and even looking at the idea of a smaller skate park idea, it's like where would that go? Where's a viable option? Where does the town have land to do these things? But this is something that, as you said, it's an imminent need that's needs to be taken care of now. And then are there options as we look at that? Maybe it's, as we look and we talk to, United States Tennis Association, is there a larger pool that we can take from to create a bigger project? It would be a matter of having that all together.
I guess in my mind, I don't want to say, we're going to, and I do think we need to fix these, but I would kind of like to be able to say, this is 1, this is 2, phases, this is where we're going. Because I know this is not really what we're supposed to do, but I'm just trying to help you, because I think people in this town feel like they want these services that, they haven't had a lot of, and they pay a lot in taxes, and they'd like to see something back for it. And I agree, because I feel like, especially tennis, it goes from, little kids to older kids, from the school kids. It kind of goes generational, different. And so I'm I don't know. I'm not saying I'm against any of this, just so you know. I'm actually for it. I'm just trying to figure out how we can be more proactive. So as opposed to coming back and saying, oh, well, now we need another 4 tennis court.
Right.
Now we need another. And then people get angry and they're like, I'm going to pay for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was just trying to, like, this is plan, to me, what would be so helpful for this whole thing is a big overview. We have X amount of space. This is what we can do. I mean, like, I was even getting confused when you were talking about the pickleball courts. Like, were you saying they were going down where the lower softball field is, where the men's softball field goes?
No, it would be where
Just where the skate park is.
correct. Yep. So just that footprint alone, that's what's being proposed. There's enough space for the eight pickleball courts right now. So that's just an option. I just wanted people to see, or you to be able to see the various options that could be used in that space.
So to me, you have this compound, this area,
Mm-hmm.
and you really should be going kind of simultaneously with another compound. So this services north and central, whereas if you had one that was maybe towards West Road, it would be more south and the central southern part
Mm-hmm.
and the north. This would be more for the north, and they'd be more for the south. So you'd have two kind of sports complexes, public sports complexes with similar amenities. So this way you're saving on design and concept and. Am I making any? You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I think as I'm coming into this role and looking at our facility space over the last 3 years, I look at it as it's in dire need of improvement in order to, because it has not been given the resources and funding that it's needed over the years in order to, so now we're coming here having to recreate projects that are already existing capital investments made by the town. So getting them back up to where they need to be, and again, then proving and showing that we can maintain these systems and these facility spaces with a general maintenance revenue source that's coming in. I know that was something that brought up last budget season, was how are we going to start generating revenue sources. So not to run it as though it's a business, but sort of that mentality of how do we maintain this on our own, where we're not coming to the taxpayer dollars, similar to what we've been doing with our recreation revolving fund, where staffing is now coming out of a general fund. That's all coming out of what we're able to generate through revenue sources because of programming. It would be the same idea here, as fixing these up, getting them where they need to be, and then we can start maintaining them by the efforts of the department to offer more camps and amenities and different things that we can do here to maintain that. And I get it. And then my idea is looking at expansion. I get it, do it all in one big swing. But right now we have the space. It's deteriorated beyond its useful life. So fixing it now so it's useful for those purposes, and then we can go and continue to do that and expand.
So if you think about it the way I just said it, you have two of them. Just keep in my head, right? Mm-hmm. And then this one is one big project in phases. You say tennis courts, because I think that's a priority, but you obviously know what the priority is. So tennis courts, and to me, the next one would be the skate park, because those people did come forward and they're pushing. And I know people want pickleball, but you say phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, it all happens within 5 years.
Yep.
This is the whole cost. We got the same concrete guy that's going to do the same fencing. And people could see an overview. Like, it's easier for them. Conceptual, people are visual.
You're talking combining all of the projects
Just-
into one general project.
But broken out into phases,
Yep.
so that it's not, choking it down their throat. But it helps by these pictures are nice, but imagine if you came in here with this, okay, we have this amount of space, all of this is kind of wasted, we fixed this little piece, now we want to take this and turn it into this. We're doing it phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and I think the general public would be able to say, oh, wow, that's awesome. The park will have a path that goes here. We're going to, so it kind of shows how it all comes together to one cohesive complex. Because I really think that is something that people want. A complex. I can park here. I can walk over to the library with the little ones while, the bigger ones are playing baseball or basketball. And I can go over here. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yes.
They'll visualize it better. In my mind, so when you're putting it together, it would be nice to see, when it budget seasons, when you're looking actually for the money.
Yep.
And I know this takes a long time to do, but that's the kind of, you know, there'll be a little pocket park here, there'll be a little water element here, there'll be bubblers or whatever. I don't know what you're gonna put in there,
Yep.
but you know what I'm saying.
I got you. Yep.
So that to me is, you know, you just need, numbers would be good. How many people you have using those tennis courts on a regular basis? How many, you just said 400 people use the pickleball, right?
Yep.
How many people use the skate? You just gotta kinda put the numbers in there, and yeah, the safety, the ADD, that, the compliance, we're definitely behind the 8 ball on that, and it's a good thing that they brought the park up to code a little bit. But those are the only things, you know, that I can see. The other thing is on the baseball, it would be nice if you included some solar on those metal roofs so that you could light the lights with the solar from the from the, dear Lord, why can't I talk? Dugout's the word. Something like that.
Yep.
That's kind of cool, and it's, you know, environmentally good. It cuts your electric bill, which will save you money.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, well, I can look into it. I'll be happy to do that. Yeah. Sometimes it's, yeah, most of them are up to impact rating. So, you know, I'm just thinking of foul balls and things like that, but we can look at it. So there's definitely options, I think, with space where we could look at, even on some of the light towers on the actual candles, you can put solar power for that
Well,
too. I
and-
believe Lacrosse has it for their scoreboard, correct? Yeah.
So on those lights you were talking about, they sell those things. They're not windmills, but they like look like barrels like this, and they go like this, and they're wind oriented, but they do energy, and they would light up lights as well. Again, it's just cost effective. It's that you're replacing them and fixing them and whatever. And I think the town manager had said that right now that we're running out of time with that federal money for solar. You get like a rebate when you buy into any kind of wind or solar energy, any kind of, you know, clean energy bill. There's that, you get that rebate. So if it costs $100, you get $50 back. So that's, you know, kind of a good time to kind of put that into the mix. But I like all of this. That's my only.
Nope. It's all good.
See, I told you, I was positive and negative.
Yeah, it's all good.
Just a note on this, obviously, all of these can't go.
I
Because
understand.
you can't put 3 things in one place. So some of these are gonna come off. We have received, correct me if I'm wrong, no feedback whatsoever from the skate park people.
I can barely hear you, Sean. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I should probably go closer to the mic, thank you. Obviously, all 3 things can't happen on this space, right? And the skate park people have not gotten back to us. So by the time we get to the end of this process, those projects, if without that feedback, without that community commitment, are gonna go to the unassigned projects list. And they won't get placed on a year. So that's how that's gonna have to go, which will limit this because, fixing the, this is one of the first things, the first week I got here, I went and I looked at this, the tennis courts, and they're got a serious problem. They're gonna have a safety issue, and they're gonna get to the point where we have to close them. And that I don't think we wanna do. So looking at $165 each year for FY '28 and '29, that would be done most likely through a capital reserve fund to be able to have the funds to be able to do that. You really don't want to, you'd like to do both of them at the same time because you got underground drainage issues there.
Yeah.
So we're probably gonna have to wait till we get the full amount to do it right, while they're deployed out there and deal with that under drain issue, because that's clearly what it is. I'm not an engineer, but I can see that, you know, you got a water problem underneath there, and that's why you've got this subsistence going on. To at least maintain what we had, never mind try to expand.
Right.
That's probably the most realistic thing we're gonna be able to do during this period
Well,
of
and
time.
I understand how tight the budget's gonna be this year after last night's meeting. I totally understand.
Yep.
But I think it's always good to be positive and optimistic that
Well, that's
in
why.
the future, this could happen
Well-
here, and isn't this a wonderful thing to go to?
That's why it's important to now to have, normally you just had the 6 years, but now you have an unassigned project list. So when you do apply for grants, they are in our CIP. They're just not programmed for a year yet. So it allows us to pull projects off the shelf, and we get a group that's actually, you know, able to raise some
Yeah.
private funds. It's on there, because they want to see that you've got a plan, as you talked about, and those projects are in that plan. We didn't have that before, so that's what we're going to be doing now. So some of that's going to get rearranged. As you know, some things already came off as of last night, council-approved projects, which took them off the CIP. So we're making progress here, positive progress. Anything else on rec? If we go to schools?
Well, thanks for popping my bubble. Sean.
Well, I'm just trying to add a dose
I
of
was very
realism.
excited about a big overview. I was all waiting to see that.
Well, we have that
Beautiful
overview, which
picture
is,
of a beautiful complex to
Well-
make my high school up and running. Go ahead.
well, I mean, obviously you have the spreadsheet that shows you in the years trying to be programmed to be done.
I understand.
And actually Dave Wally did a pretty good job when he has one of those, when he did this back parking lot piece here, so, we can have him show that to you.
For me, it's just a comment I've heard, at least 3 or 4 times this year. Why doesn't London area pickleball courts? Litchfield has them, and they're a much smaller town than we are. It's really odd that we don't have them. And I mentioned it was on the ballot a few years ago, and they went, it was, So, it's good to see them back in here because there's a lot more people who are talking about pickleball courts and how we should have them. So I'm happy to see that as a project that may happen.
I think my mentality going forward is a lot of these projects should be town driven with town focus. So even with when we worked with Restore the Recs, there's a lot that they're a volunteer group, and there's a lot that the town can do to assist to make sure that we're driving that project, making the right people informed, making sure projects are done. I think a couple years ago that was not how the task force was set up. So I think going forward in the future, whether it's a task force or whatever group might be advocating for that, it would be driven through our department to kind of make sure that people are aware there's different resources we can tap into to make sure these projects are in the limelight.
Good. Okay, thank you.
John?
Yeah, tennis courts, I know my son plays on the varsity team, and those things are a mess. So I see a real need for that, just to even preserve what we have. And it's well located, and the pickleball courts, though, I think Deb might ask this question, where are they?
So the idea is to use the existing footprint of the skate park that's been removed down below by going down Nelson Road, Nelson Field there.
Okay, and you said 400 people are in your program? Or?
We've had over 400 participants since beginning of 2024. So we were utilizing the Londonderry Middle School at one point with literally taping lines on the ground for them to play, and now we're utilizing St. Thomas Aquinas has 3 indoor courts that we use. So, but we pay a fee per hour over there.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, that's like 1% of our population. I don't know if that would grow if we had courts. But
So we have, I mean, to be fair, that number, we have returning players that do that as well. So it's not just 400 straight. So, I mean, but we've had, I could get the actual number of how many individual participants have participated, but we've also had wait lists, and when we're limited to 25 per class, and we offer 2 different sessions. So I think there's definitely room for expansion there. Some people can't get in, at all, because those that are enthusiastic get in and they sign up, as soon as the registration deadline opens.
yeah. Well, out of all 4 projects, Project 3, the tennis court, I see a need for that because it's actually goes in coordination with the school system, and you need a court to have a team. And I think we've had a tennis team forever. The other projects, I don't know if the skate parks, I don't think there's a school program that supports skate parks, or, there's a lot of other alternatives for that. And pickleball, there's a lot of different private facilities you could go and attend, but I definitely see a need for